Hello again, this is Marxist, and this is my rough guide to Metalworks Episode 1. We'll be talking about the mid-fight in this video. I've put off making this for a while because it's a newer map and there wasn't really a general consensus on what to do here. And there still really isn't a general consensus. Every team sort of plays this in their own unique way. And there haven't really been any classic matches on it. If anything, it tends to be kind of a slow map, and I don't particularly care for it, but we'll do the guide anyways, and I'll try to seem as happy about it as possible. I'll talk a little bit about the names of the things on this map. Some people are going to call a couple things a little bit differently, but for the most part, this is all agreed on now. So, clear in the back, you have a third doorway leading out of the lobby. I call that little. A lot of people call it different things. You have the dirt or the alley. I like calling it dirt just because that alley goes for quite a ways. So it keeps it clear as to which part of the alley they're in. There's also our and their trucks, which is important because there's a health pack there. There's lower and upper, which are the two main doors for mid-fights. And then there are the crates. And it's important to differentiate those between red and blue, just because sometimes you're going to say the crates, and somebody will look at the wrong set of crates, and then they'll die. But that's more or less all there is to this map. The mid is pretty interesting, but there aren't a lot of things to call. So this is sort of the table of contents. There should be clickable links for everything. The rollout section's only going to be one. I'm just going to show the Demo Man's rollout because everyone else is going to do exactly the same thing as him, minus all the sticky jumping. If you're interested in the medic heal order, I'm not really going to discuss that here. It's the same as it is on every other map, and if you're a little fuzzy about that, then I've got other videos that'll deal with that, other mid-fight videos and of course certain medic videos or demos of my own. The second section, we'll be talking about our two basic mid-strats. And then section 3 is sort of like a tips and tricks sort of thing. Little hints about the map that I've got after playing it for a couple seasons. And this is our Demo Man rollout section. We'll be watching Christopher, who was on my team last season and on AG the season before it, do the rollout. This rollout's pretty standard now, so there isn't a lot of variation to it that you can do ever since they changed the map itself. And you're just going to sticky jump straight forward. Now here you can add an extra sticky if you really want to get a little bit of extra speed, but it's not essential and you might die. For everybody else, you're just going to take the exact same route as the demo. You'll have one jumping soldier and one equalizing soldier because that just makes things easiest. As medic, you'll heal your demo all the way to the first spawn door and his first jump, his first big jump. Then you'll turn around and heal the roamer, who hasn't jumped yet, hopefully, and has just been walking forward for crits heals. Then you'll heal your scouts as they run across the first little bridge. Then you'll heal the roamer again. Then your equalizing soldier, and then you're at mid, and that's the heal order and the rollout for basically everyone else. They just walk in a straight line. Now that we've covered how to get to mid, which is rather straightforward, we'll talk about what we do once we get there. I'm going to break this down into two phases based on who gets to mid. So we'll do the demo and both scouts first, then the two soldiers and the medic. In my little dichotomy of Mama Bear and Social Services Scout, Mama Bear is yellow, Social Services is red, passive and aggressive respectively in the old terminology, and the Demo Man's lines are black. We'll talk about the demo first. In this aggressive strat, you're going to come out of the lower door, and you're going to shoot stickies at their little platform on up to upper door. You may also sticky anybody that gets onto the point, especially those two metal thingies that stick up off the point. And that'll just keep soldiers from being able to spam down at you from on the point. Nobody that I've played against really utilizes that position very much, because it's not particularly useful. given other things on this map that I'll talk about later. Your Mama Bear Scout is just going to kind of zone out for your demo and make sure nothing comes down off the bridge on him and that nothing runs underneath the bridge on him. And you'll wait to get buffed by your medic before moving in. Your aggressive scout is going to cut hard right, his right, and go up their little rampy thing there. If it's too hot, then he can back up and get healed, or he can jump on and hide behind those crates there or on top of those crates. And that's sort of just your mid from there. If they happen to go a different way, so instead of going upper, they go lower, then as aggressive scout or social services scout, you're just going to run to the point at the demo. And in this case, it may be easier for your Mama Bear Scout to do that because he'll be closer at first. So you may need to switch roles if you want to have a really efficient mid. But that's the first segment here. In the second segment, we've got the soldiers and medic arriving. Green and blue are interchangeable, so it just depends on what you'd like to do. Green in this case is what I'm imagining the pocket to do, but it's not essential. It's basically whatever makes you happiest. So we'll talk about green first. You're going to walk with the medic through to lower lobby. He'll link up with the demo. Before all that happens, you're going to quickly go out the little door in the back, jump onto the shacky thing with the stop sign hand on it, and then rocket jump off of that wall and onto their little platform. Ideally, you'll see someone there, because you do have a relatively decent sightline from there. If there's literally nothing there, then you're going to need to bomb the concrete ground on the other side of the point, which is what the dotted line is in this case. The blue lines are you double jumping off the wall and onto either their little platformy thing or onto the blue crates or red crates if you were reversed. That's what you would do if they go lower. You're just going to try and take those crates. You can also double jump off of the windows, which is sometimes an easier jump to do to get decent height, but I'm assuming that you're right-handed, so you're gonna come out. You'll do your rocket jump basically straight up in the air and then off backwards, or you could go off the window easily if you're right-handed. It might be harder to go lower with that jump unless you practice it a little bit. But your soldiers are essentially just double bombing them really aggressively. They should bomb onto the same collection of things, and then your scouts should scoot in behind them. So in the disruption. Then your medic is going to heal the demo and then try and just stick with these scouts that are lower, and they'll take him wherever he needs to go. Ideally, what's going to happen with this mid, and the reason that it will work, is that you're going to cut teams in half, because a lot of teams really want to cover the entire middle area with the bridge and all, or they'll have a bunch of people lower and a bunch of people on one side of the map, and it's really easy for you when you do this to isolate those two groups from each other and force a 6v3, which is really helpful for you. This time, on our second mid, we'll be on to a more passive strategy. So here, your demo, who is the black lines, will go onto the platform out of upper. Then you'll just spam stickies at their demo or scouts. Either will do, really. And you're going to hang closer to the door, so such that if anything bombs you, you're just going to run it into lobby and be safe. Essentially, what your scouts are doing is that they're just zoning out their respective doors. So the yellow line's Mama Bear Scout will attack anything that might bomb the demo, but for the most part, you're just making sure nothing goes through the upper doorway uncontested. The same goes for the Social Services Aggressive Scout, who's red. You're just trying to zone out that doorway, because a really popular thing to do for roamers is you'll see the demo and then you just go the opposite door quickly. or you'll jump into alley and then go the opposite door and come up behind the medic and the demo and all that. And that's a super popular strat. So you're there blocking both the doorways. If they go in behind you, then as the aggressive scout, you could probably be the one to go deal with that. And that's basically your mid in the first segment. So now we'll talk about the soldiers. Your green lines are your roamer here, and your roamer's going to come out of the upper doorway essentially behind the demo. And you're going to have to make a decision. Are you going to jump onto the point and then jump onto your own truck? I don't demonstrate that, but that's essentially what you're going to do. So you're basically trying to fake them out, jump there, take a bunch of damage, maybe shoot a couple rockets, and then go get your health packs. Or you can jump clear behind them by jumping off the windows or off the other wall. I just show the window jumps here because I didn't show it in the other slide that involved soldiers double jumping. So you're just going to try and go in behind them, and that's the roamer play I discussed earlier. You're just going to chill back there, see if anything chases you. You've got a health pack medium size waiting there by their truck. You use that if anything chases you. If nothing does chase you, then you just go into lobby through either the little doorway or the lower doorway, and then go kill stuff from behind, while the rest of your team plays a little bit passively until you call that you're on them. Your pocket is just going to walk around on the ground under the point. Generally, that can work pretty well for pocket soldiers because scouts are going to be running around down there in a lot of cases. And if you know a team likes to have their scouts under there, you can just demolish them because the ground is very flat there and there's a lot of ground to shoot for the soldier. And your medic will come out with that soldier, but as soon as he manages to progress forward at all, then you need to try and get to your demo. In many cases, you're not going to be able to get out on mid, so you need to back up into lobby and go around the other way and to get to your demo. Or your demo may be backed up into lobby and will come out lower again. That's just the nature of this mid since bombs are very prevalent right now. You may end up having to do a lot of hiding and rotating. And since this is a passive strat, that's fine. You're wanting them to throw people into you and for them to do it in a disorganized way so that you get a couple free kills to start the mid and then you just walk forward and win. And that's the basis of this strategy. So we're on to tips and tricks, little things that I found to be helpful. As demo man, avoid standing against walls. A lot of demos are going to peek out to the far right when they go upper, and as a roamer, you don't even need to bomb that guy. Just both your soldiers spam one rocket at him. He's either going to have to fall to the ground or take 60 damage in spam rockets, and that can take you out of a mid pretty quickly. So that's something that you need to be careful of and be aware of spatially, that you're not getting really close to the walls behind you. It can happen when you go lower too. The higher you go as soldier, the better. Whenever you jump, you want to go as high as possible, and that's why so many of my strats include double jumping. The reason for that is that the skybox is black, and the map itself is kind of dark once you get high in the air, and it's almost impossible to see you. It is very, very difficult to see you. So you're basically guaranteed to be able to land on your target unimpeded. Scouts might get you once you get close, but you're still going to do really good damage because you're so close to them by the time that they can see you. And there are cases where I've experienced where you can see a guy jump, but because he got high enough into the skybox, you still don't really know where he is. Also, as meta demo, don't be afraid to dip into the lobby, especially when you're playing passively. That's a lot of teams are really obsessed with getting people behind you and into lobby, and if you hang out too long, that's when you're gonna die a lot. So dipping back in when they're really aggressive can bait kills into that lobby really easily. So playing passively on this map is pretty popular, and it's part of the reason why it's so slow. And that's the end of our first episode here. It's shorter than the other ones because Metalworks mid is pretty small, and you don't really have a lot of strategic options involved there. It's basically, do I come out of upper or lower, and then that's essentially the mid right there. And for Soldier, it's, do I abuse the black skybox or not? So that's essentially that. I hope you found it to be helpful and enjoyable. I know a lot of people are pretty confused with this map right now. So in our next episode, we'll be talking about holds on Metalworks. Until next time.